Okay, so I'm reading mostly from my book, Split Daughter of Eve, and a few not in the book. And I think what it's about will become obvious. It's about being caught between a bunch of opposites, Jewish, Catholic, no identity, all of history, well, 5,000 years of it. Okay, first one is Deus absconditus, which means the hidden God. Jesus looks at me from his cross, and I suddenly know he's only human. He says my name. Heaven has changed, but our second grade nun didn't hear. She keeps reading aloud, preparing the class for First Holy Communion. My mother throws a coat over her nightgown to drive me to Mass, then waits in the car with a book. My father's Jewish. They're both atheists. If I could go outside, I might see God as an almost face in a cloud and feel the warm breath of the Holy Ghost. Those two like being invisible. When I asked why, Sister said, "It's a mystery." I stare at Jesus. He stays silent. What if he came down? I could wipe the blood from his hands, comb his matted hair. We could go for a walk. I would share my sandwich. Jesus looks like he's thinking it over, but he doesn't move. How am I supposed to live the rest of my life? A priest comes in, points to a water stain under the crucifix, tells us it looks like Golgotha. I see a dingy wall and feel embarrassed by the show. God deserves more. Yet I need to be kind. Certainty ends, longing begins. Many years later, I learned that when Pompey conquered Jerusalem, drove his chariots through streets of golden stone, he entered the Holy of Holies, the temple's most sacred space, and was amazed to find it was an empty room. Then comes Broken Family. After I learned that Jesus was a Jew and Jews and Christians didn't get along, I wondered how that felt to him. Up in heaven, he seemed content, but like me, might feel adrift as if he didn't quite fit in. On earth, Jesus lay in our basement, one of many shining figures handed down to but ignored by my parents. Yet he still belonged to Dad's people as well as Mom's, and like a kid after a divorce, I longed to reunite my family. I wanted to invite them all, holy and human, living and dead, to dinner with me and my folks, but there'd be no sitting down together. There was no longer even a table. I could only herd random angels left to roam like pets becoming feral on abandoned property. Then to get to more actual humans, climbing the tree of life. I named my grandmothers for the color of their hair. White grandma was Catholic, scary and strict like the Holy Church. Black grandma was Jewish and brown like the earth in her garden and the eggplant salad she kept in her fridge. The godless Jewish relatives were all snappy and funny and smart. Intellectuals, activists, artists. I wanted to be like them, but wasn't sure I could measure up. Couldn't tell where I stood with people who were always kidding. The Catholics were smart too, but never as funny. They served in the military, looked me straight in the eye, didn't talk over my head. They had big jobs and cabins in the woods, lakes, and the aurora borealis. They drank whiskey, filled their freezers with venison. The Jewish houses had pianos and violins that got played a lot, were full of books that got discussed. They read André Schwartzbart's The Last of the Just. The Catholics read James Michener's Hawaii. They loved to read, but didn't have libraries. They subscribed to Catholic Digest and never missed Mass, which made me glad they lived in other states. Except for cute altar boys, I couldn't wait for Mass to end. I wondered why Jesus and Mary had to be so holy. I wanted Jesus to be sexy. My relatives were part of me, and I of them. I had my favorites, but there was no understanding anything. My hands and fingernails with their long beds looked just like my mother's, my square toenails like my father's. Once, when Uncle Louis and I were barefoot at a pool, I was shocked to see we had the same short toes. And one from 1954 that I think is a little resonant now, learning to see through atheist eyes. Senator Joseph McCarthy was on TV, and my father wore his Adlai Stevenson shoe with the hole in it pin. In another must-watch show, Elizabeth wore ermine and white satin to be crowned Queen of England. I saw that one with my mother, who bought me my own white satin pearl-studded dress to make First Communion. Elizabeth felt blessed by God, believed in her divine responsibility to serve. Jesus belonged to my father's tribe, so wasn't really God, but I swallowed him anyway. Later, someone stuck under God into the Pledge of Allegiance. Like my parents, I disapproved. When my fourth grade class reached those words, I chose to remain silent. It was worse for Uncle Louis, who had to hide for a week at Clear Lake. He never became a citizen, and if he answered the government's subpoena, might be deported, all the way back to Odessa, where he started. After confirmation, I stopped going to church. Uncle Louis was never found out, and Clear Lake's blue-green algae is now so plentiful it can be seen from outer space. Moving on a bit. Understood. In 1939, as Hitler invaded Poland, my parents' marriage in Reno was legal, but almost interracial. Jews were not yet white in America. My grandma told my mother, I never thought you'd marry one. It was a crime under Emperor Franz Joseph. At home, my parents didn't talk about the Jews missing from Europe. At my Catholic school, the Jews killed Jesus. After we saw the diary, then Frank, my commie aunt, told her son she wouldn't understand. She told me what I already knew. You can't be a Jew without a Jewish mother. Mom and I were shiksas. An Irish Catholic boyfriend's aunt, a nun, came for Christmas dinner and asked, like my new coat? I got it cheap in Jewtown. For crypto Jews, the Inquisition wasn't over. Soon enough, I understood. The Jews might reject me, but wouldn't kill me. With anyone else, I couldn't be certain. And then, speaking of the Inquisition, I grew very fond of the writing of St. Teresa of Avila and also John of the Cross, especially Dark Night of the Soul. So here's to them. Sister Mary Joseph serves lunch in Avila. Fierce Mother Teresa and quiet Juan, her much younger but equally powerful protege, can't stop themselves from levitating like thousand-layer cakes raised by inner fires when they talk of God. Bearing trays of steaming sancocho, I glimpsed them on my way to the refectory, where, as usual, they'll be late for the meal, but perhaps in time for flan. We sisters all have visions here, but only those two hang suspended inches off the chapel floor, float light and open as plastic sandwich bags, able to hold God's yeasty thoughts, yet overstuffed as swan's way, with secrets that, like Marcel, they can't help spilling in a big mess on the tiles, invisible dust and crumbs we can't sweep away from dark interiors through which Jews are pushing up. Teresa and Juan's sandaled feet rest on misty shoulders of his padre, her abuelo, and other past and future family members bearing books, pens, and cans of sauerkraut, come to share today's midrash, ready to lift these two converso mystics through the roof. So it became time for a new kind of boyfriend, as happens. Follower. Call me crazy. I loved a madman who offered me a way to live. I couldn't find another way and jumped into his caravan. He might have been a con man. He parked at the edge of the desert pit I'd crawled out of and didn't want to fall back in. He saw salvation ahead. I feared apocalypse. We circled the pit's rim. I thought I might have invented him. Wasn't sure he knew I was there. Sometimes he sounded like Moses, at other times Don Quixote. His was the pure word upon word, and it didn't matter if I heard it. What mattered was to get a driver, find some way for the Dead Sea not to sink entirely, leaving nothing but a cold light on our planet and only red-hot memories of neon, a noble gas whose name means new. So things went on from there, and we get to how I became a Zionist without really trying. Born on the wrong side of the Jewish blanket, all I knew of Israel growing up was not the Exodus, but my crush on fellow half-Jew Paul Newman, as he played a full one in the movie. My uncles were anti-Zionist communists, my grandparents supporters of Birobidzhan, the Soviet version of a Jewish homeland. My father played violin at their parties. I fell in love with a dual national Jew from Detroit and then with his 9-year-old Israeli son. Terrorists attacked schools near the kids, and he told me he felt like a target. During the Gulf War, the kid put on a mask, and surprise, my husband was called up, ordered by the IDF to report to Fort Dix with his reserve unit, all old men over 40. Later, the kid learned how to drive a tank, got sent to Lebanon. In the West Bank, he checked IDs, told me how easy it was to slip on a mask of power in that thankless job. My husband and I were on treadmills watching TV when Rabin got shot. My beloved froze, almost fell. Fast forward to October 7th. For failure to denounce Israel's response, I became a Zionist to anti-Zionist pals. Now I felt like a target myself. Short on ideology, I was long on lived experience. Love and history met as I double-checked the box for chance. Wept like a Jew by the rivers of New York. And here's another one that seems to have accrued some more meaning since it was written. Violence against women. It's in the blood that pops up penis golems, dumb messengers of death and doom, in flood that monthly bears away your unraped egg, dead as its army of microsuitors, or bathes the living, growing child whose birth can kill you. Urgent flood lies in wait on the stairs, in the woods, in the alley, makes you wait for its pound on house or car. Doors locked, both hands on the wheel. Can't be too careful. You're driving, but it's breathing inside you. And as a tribute to a sister, Cow of Plenty. My youngest sister adored cows, but I didn't understand the attraction. She found music in their lowing, tenderness in their gaze. As we hiked past a herd, keeping our distance so we wouldn't spook them or get between any calf and its mother, she'd say, I cherish those faces. I felt uneasy, as if their blankness might be hiding angry spirits. She saw pure love look back from their hypnotic eyes. I knew what she craved the morning she told me. If you really cared, last night you would have picked me up, given me your bed. I'd do it for you if your mind was scrambled eggs. By then, she'd been bucking for years, felt weakened, like a bull slashed by picadors and banderilleros. She was sick of her husband, weary of psych wards like bad motels with stale chips and no ice. After concerts, she drove home alone in her orchestra dress, her handmade viola locked in the trunk of her red two-seater car. There were times she pulled over, waded into the black evening ocean up to her neck. She said, if I had money, I'd get the best shrink on earth. I thought she needed one like Kamadenu, the divine cow who gives all she has. Unlike her mother, who threatened over Cheerios, she might not be around when her child got home from school. The day my sister drove in pre-dawn darkness to her death, her husband suffered only a hairline crack to his clavicle, yet couldn't remember what happened before the crash. Did four hands fight on the wheel? Did she swerve toward a suit of lights, leap a fence? The next time I stopped by cattle, I watched them eat in silence and thought about being a cow so hard I slipped inside one. I stood, solid as a truck, then lowered my head, bowing all the way down to earth to receive its grass. I've never nursed, but I could feel the tug of milk. Jesus has never totally disappeared for me. Um, I have a friend who's an Anglican priest who said, Jesus can be whatever you want. Jesus and I go to the beach. We walk to the Sea of Galilee, sit in low beach chairs on the shore, cool our bare feet in the water. The day is hot. Climate change is upon us. This Jesus never died and went to heaven, but I can't help thinking of the old story. I have to ask myself, what exactly happened in that tomb? Did the contents of his body melt inside him as in a chrysalis to form the tissues of a new body? They say he'd emerged looking just as he had before he was broken. If a change had occurred, it remained hidden. And what of that ascent? Did he rise like an elevator or a rocket? How did it feel watching the earth and familiar faces grow smaller, ever to be seen again? Did he even look? And was he sorry or relieved to enter the cloud that took him the rest of the way? Did he mind losing his body for the second time? Or did he butterfly his way back into heaven? Jesus picks up a pebble, makes it skip on the lake's calm surface, looks at me, and I see he is now much younger and a girl. You look like your little sister if you had one, I say. Jesus always could read minds, she says. Yes, the future is female. So, how about a shawarma and a soak at Herod's baths? We agree. The springs are still scalding after 2,000 years, and there's no time like the present. Jesus and I put our sandals back on. Happily, hers are the right size. And the final poem is Thoughts of God. For me, behind the Christian God breathed the Jewish God. Jesus was a person of interest, and I wasn't introduced to Allah. Who knew what God was thinking? The important question is whether the universe is friendly, Einstein said. As a Jew, he thought he knew, but had to ask. There is no deity in Buddhism, yet Tara Brach and other Buddhists talked about an underlying goodness that's within and without. And immanent, transcendent permeation of our none too, all too solid skin. I thought, if God exists as something larger than that wishes to be known, I might be God's thought, temporarily brought to light as my life. When I imagine biting into a lemon, saliva starts up. When I try thinking as if I believe a benevolent God exists, I feel a bit warmer in a safe room of my own, as if inside a small prayer prayed by God for me. That's it.
Absolutely fantastic, Catherine.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a huge fan. Uh, so many good lines. I was just swept away with the totality of each poem. I'm in awe of your craft. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's just what I think anyway.
Thank you.
I think if any other voices want to chime in, there's been a lot of chiming on chat. So, Catherine, you get a chance to check out a lot of that. I think there's a lot of truth in how so many lines, phrases, short descriptions were so noteworthy, but the poems would go on. And I think there's a lot that wasn't captured, like on chat. From
Did you
your
say gallant?
Say again.
What was that word you said? Gallant?
Oh no, but if you'd like me to, that's
No, no, what did you say?
I'm gallant enough to say that.
That was very gallant, yeah.
No, that I think I probably was when I said goes on, is your poems in their gallant way, of course, but they
Go
go
on, yeah.
on. And it's hard to, always pull those lines and words and the like, because we're following the thread of the poem. So that was terrific, really excellent.
Yeah. Thank you.
So you read, obviously your poetry is very narrative, you know, in the way they are, story-like and memoir, partly driven. So do you have any particular, one or two particular poets you would throw out to us that you have found kinship with?
Oh, in the narrative way? I don't know. I
Or
studied with,
in any way,
oh, I hate that question. There's so many. I studied with Ellen Bass, and she's a very narrative a poet. Um, there's just so many I
yeah, I
like.
know, I hate the question too.
I know. It's like
Too many to name. That's the answer to it.
Rutke, Kavafi. I like some of the more lyric ones too. Oh, I should have prepared for this, but now my mind is a blank. Sorry.
That's right. It's going to
Um,
be on the PBS NewsHour. Do not worry, you came off great.
yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay.
I like Auden, Yeats, and I'm reading Jean Garrigue right now, and it's really hard because it's like a very different style. You know,
Mm.
when people really had craft and stuff was underneath the craft more than conversational or narrative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think to me, diversity is everything, and I think the idea of reading as many different poets of as many different styles from as many different periods of time is the foundational part of writing, or what it
Andrew
leads to writing.
Marvell, yes.
Just no,
Larkin.
I got to tell you that like stop.
They came from the same town, you know.
No,
Larkin and
didn't know.
Marvell, yeah,
Oh,
in
oh, cool.
England. Mm.
Okay,
A
well that
really
was
depressing town.
probably so.
Mm.
Okay, so we're going to go into the open mic, and a couple of our esteemed followers are from very different time zones, so I thought we would tootle over to something outside this particular continent. And Maggie, how about we get you up first?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. I can't see me, so maybe that's a good thing, but if you can hear me. Okay, let's see. Most of our physical space cannot be detected by human senses. States of energy in a sky dance with neurocenturies of recorded electric cells. Communication down. She's gone to sleep dreaming. Dreaming of evolution in a prayer. An enigma more than a code. As a youth in the first scene of a movie, others ask for help. Past, present, and future seems trapped in a square. A square dressed up as a black hole, where the star that shone so bright once now reaches down as dark as infinity, as dark as infinity's Pepper's ghost. On the bus, repeating a nightmare, we veer off track. A defeated night spell beneath the star with corona eyes, her last breath cut with flowers weep, the milk before a painting of thorns, and here we are trapped in concrete stone skin, writing the book out of numbers as Shakespeare writes stranger things. The first mouthful made me shiver, the second made my tongue numb. Blow, wind, blow, repeating again and again and again the same words, written down, dog cold. The magic of a formed word begins to turn, the lights down, Sandman is in therapy, deep breathing, frontal lobe hits again, breathing slowly through his nose, a technique that dates back to painters of the Russian icons, immortality assisted by a homeowner's hospitality, disposal methods. They will be discussed and agreed upon in advance, donations, recycling, a political assignation arisen through actions taken under duress authorization. This is a deep breathing exercise, a serenade gifted to the snow maiden. During simulation, each creates a paper plane that hovers over your mouse. Words found in the standard dictionary are permitted unless capitalized. For productivity, play classical music while projecting light therapy with deep throat chaos. No compensation is expected when purging the house of books, artifacts, and symbols. Begin by sitting or standing with a good posture. Remain comfortable. The magical dimension of a fairy tale, restful states of alertness, decreased physical stimulation. Take a deep, slow breath and count down from 10. I keep repeating the same words over and over again. This is not a war poem written by Wilfred Owen. The screaming man's incurable prognosis. The human mind accommodates like a hot iron. And so I recommend again and again and again aspects of psychic research acceptable to science, outcomes, report all experiments and context. And never forget to go back to the British Museum when wanting to borrow the Book of Cats for our first diagnosis. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah,
I
wow.
love you all. I want to be there. I want to be there. My skin, my body, my flesh and my blood. I want to be there next to you. I want to be sitting in your arms and reading with your breath in my ear. That's what I would like, Greg Correll, Ken Holland, and all of you beautiful people.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I love
Wow.
you, Mary.
Of course, if you send us airline tickets, we'll come down. We'll come down to you. Yeah. So.
Oh, you can live with me. I've got plenty of
Oh.
room here by the sea.
All right.
And
Okay.
you've got
Yeah.
kids.
You've no
Maggie,
idea how close all of us are to them.
Maggie, I always am waiting to hear when you're going to do a one-woman show
Oh,
and perform on stage with just the spotlight on you. It would just be mesmerizing. You should put that on your vision board.
yeah.
Hmm.
When you're on a stage in your mind or in reality and the light is on you and you don't see anything in front, to the side or behind, but you feel everyone and everything that surrounds you and it becomes part of the one. So it's not just you there in the spotlight, it's everybody that's there, and it's the most magnificent and beautiful feeling in the world, really.
Yeah.
And it's not just you, it's everyone. One day we'll see each other, I know. I have
Mm-hmm.
faith, I believe that. Yeah.
Well,
We'll all
let me
have to
also.
meet halfway around the world. We'll
Yeah.
get a meeting place, like meet in London, and
That
you
would be
can perform in
wonderful.
a Shakespearean theater.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never been married, Mary, and that would be my wedding. Yes, that would be a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, just if not now, when?
Yeah, it'll happen when
Mm-hmm.
it'll happen when it's meant to be.
And I
I
did
love you
make a
lot.
comment.
Yeah.
I made a comment in the chat, and while you were reading, it felt like being in an art gallery of words. You
Oh my
can
goodness.
see it, and then you start to talk about museums. I was like, here we go. Yeah, it's brilliant work.
I was also going
Thank
to
you so
comment
much.
that
That's beautiful.
Maggie's poem, while she was reading it, reminded me of what Catherine was reading as well, in the sense of it being linked to your work. So really, dig in and investigate and unspool, their stories. And that's just not easy to do, and to keep it hanging together and to keep it progressing, and to keep us engaged. So for the two of you, sisters that you are.
Oh, so
Okay. Oh, so okay, Rivka, if you can hear me, if you want to read in the open mic, if you could pipe up or send me a chat, that would be great. But I'm going to say who the next two readers. So Julie, if you'd step up, and after that we'll have Jude. So J and J. So Ms.
Oh,
Lomoe,
it's my turn?
it is your turn.
Oh, wow. Okay. I was just writing a new verse, as
Oh,
sometimes I like to do songs. And I did this one about a month ago, but I just added a new verse today. So, summertime and the climate is changing. Broken records, and it's still early June. Over 90, and my garden's unhappy. Still thirsting for rain, and I pray it comes soon. Gusty winds whipping east from the prairies, breaking branches, and the power goes out. Guy is mad, and I can't say I blame her. With billionaires calling the shots and there's no room for doubt. Early in May, I cruised up to Norway. Snow-capped mountains, waterfalls and fjords. So I was promised, alas, when I got there, the snow was all melted, the water was gone. And I just added this one right now. Mid-July, and the garden's still thirsty. Went outside, and I turned on my hose, soaked the soil as I smelled nature burning. The sky had turned orange, but that's how Gaia goes. So that's a nice, cheerful one. Encore. Okay, I enjoy doing that. Now I'll turn to one about Norway. I was on a cruise to Norway in May, and I'm working on a memoir about it. I'm like 95% Scandinavian, and I wanted to find my roots. And the memoir is very challenging, but I'm plugging along at it. But this poem I wrote, Return to Norway? No way. More than a month ago, I got back from Norway, and I'm positive I'll never return. Unsolved mysteries remain. My grandparents passed through the gates of Ellis Island at the cusp of the 20th century, settled in Wisconsin near the shores of Lake Superior. My parents didn't linger there, moved to Milwaukee for more citified success, showed little interest in their ancestry. I sought to rectify their negligence, booked a princess cruise to the fjords in May. The promos promised verdant views, cascading waterfalls. The promos lied or failed to calculate for climate change. Brown, desiccated stream beds lay where water used to flow. Even disregarding drought, the landscape was forbidding. My ancestors settled on narrow strips of land along the water, hemmed in by towering walls of rock. The summer season was short. Root vegetables were all that they could grow. They had to import the rest, though sheep and goats could thrive. Let's see, one more. No wonder they pulled up stakes, abandoned their ancestral lands, and split for America. Even the frigid winters of northern Wisconsin must have seemed like heaven on earth. A little further south, they could plant corn and wheat. Why on earth would they go back to Norway? I'm in awe of their fortitude, hope their Viking blood still courses through my veins and gives me strength. But return to Norway? Hell no, not in this lifetime. I'll say. Do I have time for one more?
Yes, you do.
Okay, this is another one, cheerful one, about my cat. Death of the Mourning Dove. A smoky gray mound on the dingy beige kitchen floor. I stepped closer, saw it was a mourning dove, dead with a bloody wound centered on its breast. The only movement, a single fly buzzing around the corpse. No mystery here. Cleopatra, my sweet tabby cat, was the villain of the story. A lethal huntress. She'd brought her prey inside many times before. To show it off? To save for later? To play in deadly games before the final bite? She devoured mice, moles, voles, leaving the vital organs for her human servants to clean up. Once a chipmunk, a rabbit, even worse, a cardinal. I saved a few red feathers in a baggie. But today's kill was by far the worst. I love mourning doves, their elegant silhouettes poised on telephone lines, their gentle coos at dawn and dusk. Far fewer of them now than in bygone years. Far fewer jays and robins. Cats bear partial blame, I know, but the environment these days is worse for living beings in general. Think climate change. Adopted from a shelter, Cleo was meant to be an indoor cat, but we couldn't contain her zoomy energy. Now she's an indoor-outdoor cat. She dines on fancy feast pâté and blue wilderness pellets, but those don't satisfy her appetite for killing. I pulled on blue nitrile gloves, lifted the dove tenderly into a shoebox for my brand new Correll Zero sneakers. A perfect coffin. I carried it outside, set it on a glass top table, grabbed my phone and snapped some photos. Admired the subtle shades of beige and white on the underbelly, the pale pink talons, so perfectly designed for clinging to branches or telephone lines. I carried the box out past the landscape yard into the pet cemetery, where we've buried dogs and Cleo's tabby predecessor, Lunesta. Both classic tabbies with white socks and bellies, but Lunesta was no hunter, grew fat and lazy. Cleo's kept her girlish figure. The hunting keeps her svelte and slender. We're too old to take on other dogs. I'm satisfied petting them on others' leases. But Cleopatra's perfect for our needs. Affectionate and cuddly when she chooses. Out of sight, sneaky and solitary when she wants to be alone. Besides, our house is free of mice. I lifted the mourning dove tenderly from its shoebox and laid it beneath some weeds that overgrew the graves of old departed pets. Today, before the thunderstorm, I ventured out there in my barefoot Correll sneakers to view the bird once more. I couldn't find her. Has she crossed the rainbow bridge? Flown somewhere over the rainbow? Her absence is a mystery, lost among the lavish green leaves and weeds of June. Okay. That's it.
Wonderful, Julie.
Thank you, Julie. And thank you for ending on a mystery.
Thank you. Oh,
You're
pet
right.
cemetery, yes. Yeah, we do have a pet cemetery. Unfortunately, there's a few.
They're out there. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
I've had a dog or two while growing up that I mean, I have no doubt that where those cemeteries are at this point, like, townhouses. So rest in peace.
Yeah, our last dog died about 3 years ago, and we decided we'd make do with cats,
I've been making do with a single house plan for the last 25 years. It works. So after Jude's going to be next, and after Jude, we're going to have Greg, then Jim, and then I'll close out. So Jude Marr, step right up.
Thanks, Ken. I have to say, this is always a really interesting group, and I'm very glad to be here. Always worth staying up for. Okay, so it's in the season of fires. I thought I'd read a couple of ocean poems, just to be awkward, if nothing else. This is called Some Damp City. A city of bulwarks, home to water gazers, side streets a dreamy seaward throw, glimpses of fixed rigging, rain-washed benches clinched to deliberate land, a city philosophical, a very nearly world. Whenever November, sea growing grim, I strive to find counter reveries. Breezes pistol the ocean, and wharfs are silent sentinels. Seated northward, I lean into spume. My mind slips by degrees. My gaze conjures mortal ships, all old, hats hooked, false step nailed. Elsewhere in the city, a siren sounds. At the coffin warehouse, thousands stand, crowds like oceans, each little mouth a watery part, while torn bills posted years ago weep red. We exist in some damp city, each drowned bulwark a bloated hope, each buoy a bobbing head. This is the view from the other side, wreck life. At ocean's surface, spinning buoys signal their distress. As ocean's aspect alters, sullen chop agitating against rocks, water bottles bobbing at the feet of piers, wreck life endures below. Organic matter, manifest of deep-sea creatures, mixes to mulch. Snapped masts and crusted funnels grow as cuttings grow, grafted at life's socket. An ancient rope, hempen and heavy, hangs suspended in dense water, waiting for the seahorse, yellow as a child's imagined sun, to anchor tail as hook and graze snout down above a rumpled ocean bed, among the reefs and rocks. Plankton are less these days, not yet scarce as toilet roll pre-hurricane, but winnowed, while each seahorse vacuums, snout intent, polythene packaging with a picture of a shrimp, drifts past, carried by currents, warmer than a dying dragon's final breath. And one last one, I believe in the rule of three. This is seawater is balm. A person standing thigh deep in the Dead Sea smears salt-caked mud across their bare, scarred chest. Sun beats them about the head, mud cracks, chest cracks, heart cracks. Salt works deep into every ragged wound. Many rooms away, a person descends into a heated pool. Seawater steams around their thighs. Music by Handel plays as they squat, fingers tight around all that remains of courage, as their bleached skin bleeds salt onto blue-glazed tile. At every ocean's edge, at every hour, a person stands or kneels on rock sharp as glass, on glass fine ground to sand. And from the salted stew where life began, from crevices where creatures old as grief are still, each person begs a memory of how to breathe.
Oh,
Thank you.
fantastic, too. God. Oh, goodness. Fantastic work. Just radiant and lyrical and full of visuals, but you don't do anything sentimental with them. You just parade. It's like one of those 1930s cartoons in a way, where everything is lovely and the trees are dancing. I don't know, there's something infectious about your writing.
So a master class in language
Mhm.
that I don't know who wouldn't be able to learn something from what we've just heard. That's crazy. And you know, in a way, as with Catherine's poetry, as she was going on, there was just too much to grab onto.
Yes.
To step away from your reading to watch, you know, put it on the on chat. So yeah. I'm so glad I'm not following you. I think it's Greg. Oh yeah.
Well, I'll do a rule of three too. I've got two short ones
Excellent.
and a regular. First one is called Pins, P-I-N-S. Pin dancers on the lake of the heart. Cowardice rules. The beast denies. Chiasmus lays ahead in fearful retreat. Pellucid, settled in, darkness made visible. The neutral angels, neither salvic nor damned. Our public banshees and white ice swirls. The next one is called Write, W-R-I-T. I write poems to feel pain. Thunderscreen, black night, the wild rule of art. Verse terrifies, brings us to tears, makes small compartments of vivacity itself. Poetry tires me, lulls me. This is stanza, I gasp as I cross the final line. And the last one is called The Empty Grave. I just finished reading John Milton, Paradise Lost, and this was inspired by it. I give you an onion, that's all. What am I building all the while? Scapes clipped, bulbs react. Swell. I ams proceed like life proceeds. Itty bitty syllabics as witchy brew. Newborn chiggers bite my thighs, as if born to do so. I project a world on Ecclesiastes without deuteromoteric legalese. There is no regulation, no salvatory posture to keep us afloat. The underworld of failed suicides. Brave, not brave, dead, not dead. Talk until next time. High-flown insolence and wine. Buxom air hot on confused sand. Satan begat sin. Sin begat death. 100 mouths of discord. Aurora rises like a pearl. None of us stand a chance. Pandemonium. We are overrun. Among the dead I lie. Under fat-headed grain I lie.
Yeah, wow. Let me give the unmuted
Thank you.
for you to hear. Likewise, the chat was going like the old ticker tape on Wall Street, coming in fast and furious. Greg Correll, another graduate of the School of Language, as I've been privy to for years now, and just
I'm a little concerned. You sound terribly depressed.
The poetry?
Hmm?
The poem I read sounds depressed.
Well, it doesn't sound really happy. I don't want to impute I mean, I really loved it, but
I don't think you're wrong. Yeah, I am prone to expression of inner demons.
well, that's good. Yeah, me too. But and then I'm thinking about we all have Trump to look forward to at 9 o'clock.
No, don't. It's not.
If you want to be really depressed,
You know.
If
Please
you
have
just
well,
finished
you know-
reading Paradise Lost, then I don't see how you can write anything terribly cheerful.
Yeah, right.
True. It's a
Then there's that. Yeah. I mean, if we don't find ways to express these sentiments, as I shared with Greg at one point, poetry quite literally saved my life. So there you go. All admiration for putting it out there. Okay, Jim, right? Yeah, Mr. Seegert.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a little quirky thing, something that I don't read very often, but was first published in the CAP's 25th anniversary anthology, which I thank you guys for. Right now here in the Hudson Valley where I am, the air quality index is 168. And I wrote this piece called The Breath of Spring, 2023, in June of 2023. And I was recovering from a heart attack at that time. So what happened was every breath of air, instead of being a great and healthy thing, was a potential threat. Breath of Spring, June 2023. I'll speak of no daffodils in the dew, no robins in the park, no butterflies on the wing, nothing like that. Nothing. Under an oxide blanket of a retro 20th century style Rust Belt sky, I sit in self-quarantine. The air quality index unhealthy and rising. An air purifier plugged in by my side as the AC hums during this cool, dry, late spring day. Will this be the new normal? I drift off to sleep with random, scattered, stuffy-headed dreams of past summers bouncing in my brain. Memories of the Cape Cod National seashore and Truro light buffeted by fresh breezes floating off the Atlantic. Followed by a day trip on the opposite coast to the aromatic, soft forest floor of Marr woods. Nice. Tranquil. Refreshing. A decision made after several slices and a couple of beers at the end of a long day. The drive from San Francisco to Boulder, Colorado by dinner the next night. The ethers of leaded gasoline exhaust in the thin, high desert night air, fueling my joyride. Then a thrilling cruise on the Cross Bronx Expressway after camping in the Catskills, the diesel exhaust of a ferry crossing the Bay of Fundy on a beautiful, calm day, clouds of cigarette smoke curling through a murky blues dive in the industrial Midwest. I float down into the National Air Show's serene and quiet out on the Toronto Islands, but smoky, gritty, and loud in Cleveland, standing on the sweltering tarmac or along the freight car rails. So fitting for that town. Then I'm in a plume of castor oil smoke from a vintage Sopwith Camel at the old Rhinebeck Aerodrome, and the full stench of LaGuardia Airport upon arrival home after a summer sojourn. A cough jolts me out of this brain fog. Or maybe the notification on my phone. Warning that the air quality from the Canadian wildfires has gotten worse. I should remain indoors, if at all possible. I'm in. It stinks. I fish for my handkerchief. I spit up some phlegm. Right now, I'd swap all those airy memories of the past for one precious June experience. That long, slow dance in Montreal at the Jazz Festival underneath a crystal clear sky with the stars sparkling above. Starry, starry night. I must be dreaming. So I wanted to try to end the piece on a high note of what's great and fresh and beautiful in Canada is opposed to just to the trauma of the smoke that I experienced at that time. And as we're experiencing now, I understand it's going to get worse.
Yeah, that was very moving. What was your very last word after Starry, Starry Night? That last one you read?
Starry, starry night, I must be dreaming.
I must be dreaming.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. I missed the last word. That's very powerful.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a real collection of memories, right? Just cough.
Yeah.
And stitched really well together. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Ken.
I mean, almost elegiac, particularly your delivery and tone of voice. So
Thank you. Thank you. I obviously don't read that much, but today when I was thinking about what I was going to do, I said, forget what I'm going to do. I just got to read that.
It feels like the time for elegies. So we'll leave that there. Okay, I think I've got everybody except myself. Yeah, this looks good. All right, I'm gonna I'll finish here with a couple of poems. A last minute substitution. Jude had gone and for an ocean theme, so I subbed in a fairly short poem for no other reason than that. It's called Castaway. You drive across the country to see the ocean and are deeply unimpressed, even as you walk across its flat expanse. Oh, I'm sorry. I think somebody may be typing on their computer. Your keystrokes. There you go. Okay. Castaway. You drive across the country to see the ocean and are deeply unimpressed, even as you walk across its flat expanse. You were hoping that its surface would take you in, and now you've reached an island that is both tropical and barren, as if life were at once lush and unsustainable, as if life had conceived of itself from a moment of emptiness. And if the waters had pulled you under, what would they have pulled you into? Perhaps the fine-tuning of its own existence, where the question you ask has no relevance. The moment the ocean holds is for itself alone. The moment it holds is not for your conception. A definitely short second piece. It's called Sifting. In my left hand, you've placed all you cannot fathom. In my right, the questions you no longer wish to carry. And the rift that lies between each of my fingers, I feel the loss of you softly sifting through. Which brings to a close another CAPS third Thursday night session.
Well done, Ken.
July 2026. In this year of fascism. I mean, in this year of we don't know what the hell we're in. Isn't that the point? Thank you, Donna, for all the all the balloons for the celebratory mood that we find ourselves in. We are a community. We do keep each other safe and keep ourselves safe within. And
I'll
that's
make
all.
myself another gin and tonic.
Yeah.
I wrote a poem about
Cheers to that, I say.
Oh,
Yes,
right.
it's a Pinot Noir, but it's close enough. Okay. Woo.
To
All right, so
juniper
Julie
berries.
and I are,
Yeah.
Julie and I are having an after party. You're all invited.
I wrote a poem, Gin on the Rocks, because I actually did have a bad fall and almost killed myself from drinking
Oh,
gin and tonic, but I still drink it anyway.
I love that idea, gin on the rocks, or whatever on the rocks. Like, wow, there's a whole mess of possibility there. That's very cool.
Even milk with ice cubes, it tastes better.
I totally agree. Is that Maggie? Yes. I
Milk
totally.
with ice cubes.
My grown 2 daughters tease me endlessly with watery milk, but I love at night a little thermos glass actually of milk with ice cubes.
Yes. Yes.
Zizzy.
Quite perfect.
I haven't thought of that.
Thank you. Thank you so much for
Yes, and
listening.
to Maggie and to
Wonderful.
Jude for all the hours that you traverse and stay up and to be here for. So, and we will be back. That's what we know. And so will Mike, for sure.
If Mike were here, he would be saying, "Let's hear it one more time for Catherine."
There you go.
Yes.
Yes, you would.
Excellent work.
And
Excellent.
really, really an excellent reading. Yeah, really.
And remember,
Just-
ice cubes. Ice cubes are a great food group. Low calories. Low
Only
Only
calories.
frozen water.
And then they
not,
drip.
not once
Expanded
RFK
into
Jr.
time.
gets to it. Ice cubes are Bolton. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Big kisses and
All
hugs
right.
to everyone. Stay safe, and
Okay.
I'll see you next time. Yeah.
Exactly. So,
Mwah.
all right.
Okay,
We're
nice
all,
to
we're all
meet you.
signing out. Be well.
It was
Take care.
great.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
There we go.
Bye.